So welcome to our webinar on improving government service for Microsoft Teams, Office 365, and SharePoint. Thank you for attending it. As I just mentioned, we will have questions. You can put in questions into the GoToWebinar screen, and we'll try and answer them during the webinar. We have James here helping out with that, and if we can answer them during the webinar, we will. If not, we'll get to them after if you do have questions. And also, we'll be sending a recording of this out. We'll be posting it on YouTube, also on our webinars page on our website, and also send an email with a link to it to all the people who registered for this webinar. So let's get going. I am Scott Restivo, the president and CEO, founder of Crokin Software. I'm out here in California. It's a nice sunny day. I was talking to people on the West Coast, and they're saying that it's raining there. So I'm not on the West Coast, the Washington, D.C. area. I was talking to people in the Washington, D.C. area, and she was telling me how much it's raining there. So I hope everybody's having decent weather wherever you are. As far as me, Scott Restivo here, will be coming up. I have some upcoming talks. There's going to be at the virtual Houston 365 Friday tomorrow. That's tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. my time, 9 a.m. Central, which is where Houston is in Central Time. There's this SharePoint event. It used to be called SharePoint Saturdays. This is a virtual event called Houston or HOU 365 Friday. And I'll be talking about replacing InfoPath forms, best practices from the field. That's a presentation I've given at other SharePoint Saturdays when we've actually did travel. You remember the days when we actually traveled and gathered at conferences and SharePoint Saturday? Anyways, that was back in January. I did that in San Diego, so they invited me to come speak at this virtual conference here in Houston tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. If you want to learn more about replacing InfoPath forms, that'll be a presentation I'll give, and you just got to sign up at that website. Also, I have a webinar in 2 weeks on November 12th, 2 weeks from today, at the same time, 11 a.m. Pacific, about accelerating your service desk with bots from Microsoft Teams. So I think some people on this webinar are interested in bots and Teams and that kind of thing. So I'll cover that more in 2 weeks. But I'll cover some of that today, replacing InfoPath forms and bots today. So Crokin Software has been around for 22 years now, since 1999. Can you believe it? It's a long time. And we've been working in the Microsoft collaboration space since then. Ever since then, we started in the Exchange Outlook public folder world, and then we moved into SharePoint when it came out, mid 2000s, around 2007 or so, in 2010, 2013. So ever since then, been heavily involved in SharePoint and Office 365, building business applications. We also have our Nitro Studio, which is an application creation platform. We'll look into that a little bit today. We have our AI and bot services, which are coming out. That's a kind of leading edge thing we're doing. It's becoming more and more prominent. People are starting to get more and more interested. First initial, peeking through the door at first, and now they're kind of like, putting one foot into the store, you might say. And I think soon we'll see a lot of people coming in and looking to go to use bot and AI services. So we're really glad to be on the leading edge of that. And we do a lot of custom solutions for people come to us and say, hey, I need this or that done, or I gotta do this, migrate this application from an older system to a newer system. And that is something we do quite often. So we're pretty busy, very busy. We're doing quite a lot of work in the SharePoint and Office 365 world, as well as continue developing our Nitro Studio. So I'm glad that everyone could join us today and talk more about what we're up to and what we're doing. I wanted to talk about our bona fides. I'm bona fide. I know it's from a movie I saw, Oh Brother, Wherefore Art Thou, I think by the Coen brothers, and the guy was saying, I'm bona fide. We're bona fide. Anyway, it's kind of like humorous to me, but bona fides. What are our bona fides as far as government work goes? So I wanted to put this out first to show that, hey, we're in this. We're deep into this government. We have many, many customers, and I'll show you a list of some of them in a moment. They're on our website. But here's, first of all, let me go through this one by one. All our products work in the GCC. Of course, they work in the commercial cloud, but they also work in the GCC, which is the government cloud for Office 365. We are part of the we're registered in the SAM.gov database with the cage codes. We're working on our Schedule 70 application. That got a little delayed due to COVID and all the delays around that, but that's in progress. Expect to have that out in maybe a month or two, maybe a few months, early in 2021. We are a certified small business. California has a law or regulation, whatever, that says that some portion of their state government business has to go to small businesses, and we are registered in that, and we got a registration number. We also have capability statement and all the paraphernalia that goes along with that, being registered there. We're a Microsoft 365 Business Applications preferred partner. We've been part of their partner program for many years. Like I said, we've been working with Microsoft for 22 years. Actually, I was working with them before that, but the company itself has been working with them for 22 years. And we have customers all over the world. Now, not just the United States, we also have customers, government customers, and not only commercial customers, but government customers in Ireland, UK, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and I believe a few other countries too. Oh, Canada too. I should have mentioned Canada government also. So we're pretty much throughout the world in different variations in the government. We're also in international organizations like the UN and other agencies like that. We also work, of course, in the US, in the federal, state, county, city environment, government world, and we also work with these kind of quasi-government agencies like the, Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority or Orange County Transportation Authority or some other electric utility that's, municipal electric utilities or water districts and whatever government agencies there, and also in military and defense, like I said, the UN and NGO. So just getting with some of our bona fides. We're bona fide. So here's our sam.gov. If you want to go, you can look it up yourself, sam.gov, put our name in, you'll see that we're there. If you go to California Cal eProcure, here we are in the small business. There I am, Scott Restivo with the email. Anyway, our number of employees actually has gone up since I got to update that. But we are there in the California profile. We're a partner with Microsoft, listed right here. One of the preferred partners, actually. So that's just, giving a little bit of our background about Crow Canyon and what we've been doing and how we've been in business. And if you've heard of us, great. And I think, we try and get our name out. We go to a lot of the shows when those were going on. We do a lot of what we can in the SharePoint community and the Office 365 world to stay engaged and participate in that. So, okay, so what Microsoft has, as you well know, is SharePoint on-premises, and that could be anywhere from 2010, 2013, 2016, 2019. And these are something that are very much in use. A lot of organizations, either for whatever historical or whatever reasons, are still using it. It's a very valid, important part of our work is the on-premises world. And so I'm going to focus a lot on the Microsoft Office 365 in this webinar. But we do a lot of work in the SharePoint on-premises, and we have a version of Nitro there called NitroStudio Secure, or on-premises version, and that's when all data and processes need to be kept within the firewall. No calls out to Azure or outside services. It's completely contained in your SharePoint farm, and this helps meet some compliance and regulatory standards that are needed. And even if you don't have to meet those standards, some people just want to have everything inside their firewall and not have any calls going out to Azure. Of course, any cloud-based service like Office 365, you're inherently going out to make calls to external services, but sometimes people want a certain part of their operations to operate entirely within the firewall of their organization. And one other point I want to make is that Microsoft's Power Platform is not available on premises, which makes NitroStudio a really ideal solution for whatever work you want to do in the forms and workflow world in SharePoint on-premises world. We work in the 2013, 2016, and 2019. I know some people are still on 2010, and we have decided not to continue supporting that. We'll help people move off it to other versions, but we don't build our applications on that any longer. It is over 10 years old now. So then in Microsoft for the government, we have Microsoft Office 365, the commercial public cloud with all the different variations. That's where many organizations are in that. We are, as a matter of fact, probably some of you are. But there also is a GCC version. I'm sure you're aware of that if you're in the government. And it just has a bit tighter security. It's more meant for the US, federal, state, local, tribal, territorial, government entities, blah, blah, blah. And that is where a lot of our government customers are. Most of our commercial people, in fact, well, probably all of them are in the commercial public cloud, but there is a GCC, and we fully are functional in that. A few years ago, we made all our capabilities work perfectly fine in the GCC. GCC High and DoD are a different story. They're much more restricted environments, and we're just starting to explore that with some of our customers, how we could work in the GCC High involves some reprogramming of our NitroStudio and our applications to do that. It is a very specialized environment, though, and only for particular entities need to go to that level. So there also are two versions of Azure, commercial Azure, where almost everyone is, and that's been growing like gangbusters. I don't know if anybody saw the Microsoft earnings report the other day. I think it was Tuesday evening, and that is growing like crazy for them, Azure, commercial Azure. And there's also another one called Azure Government. And if you're at that level where you need GCC High or DoD, Department of Defense kind of stuff, check it out. That's a different environment than commercial Azure, much more like the GCC High, much more restricted. And if that's a necessary, we can explore that with you, but we don't currently work in the Azure Government cloud. It's just a whole different level of circumstances there. And here is a chart on it just to show you the level of complication. We can pretty much stick with the Azure Commercial, Office 365 Commercial, and over here the GCC. I just put this here to show you that it's not as simple as just those few slides I showed you. There's a lot to it. It's two different certifications and whatnot, security levels and all that is required. So please study this. There'll be an exam on it at the end of the webinar. No, I'm just kidding about that. We're not in virtual school here, but I thought I'd put that up there and just show you, the level of stuff that we're dealing with here in that. So pretty much we're sticking with the commercial and the GCC and the Azure commercial, and so that satisfies a huge percentage, 95% more of our customer base there. So Microsoft has a lot of information on cloud. Well, this is a little interesting because Microsoft Cloud for Government is their kind of conceptual approach to providing digital transformation to government agencies, and they have a lot of strategic documents at a kind of high level that you might read and know about different strategies and things like that. It's a website here that they have. Microsoft has different industry websites, and one of them is government. There's also healthcare, energy, and all the other ones, but one of them is government, and they have different aspects of government: general, public safety, defense intelligence. And this is not the same as the GCC cloud that I was just talking about, or the Azure cloud services. This is just, they call it the cloud, but it's really a concept of how to enact or enable digital transformation in your government agency. And I think I'm pointing it out here because there's a lot of good information, and if you have a chance to look through it at kind of strategic level, you can get really good ideas and inspiration to why it's important to move from whatever systems you're on now to this kind of platform that we at Crow Canyon Software help facilitate that happening. But we are different. We are more in the trenches. We are workers, and we've always been that way, workers in the trenches, getting people on, getting digital transformation, if you want to call it that, realized in real world implementations of it, not just the kind of strategic theory that Microsoft's kind of giving you right here. They need to put out this high level stuff, strategies for success. You might have to tell your CIO or your corporate, not corporate, but the managers, the heads of the agencies, the department CIOs, they eat up this stuff, but which is great. It's necessary. But Crow Canyon's, working. We get the stuff working. Let's put it that way. There's Teams for Government, another part of documentation. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I just want to run through, a little background there, what Microsoft has to offer, the different versions of SharePoint on-premises and Microsoft Office 365, as well as what it's offering in terms of content about digital transformation. But most important is, what is Crow Canyon Software doing? How can we help you and your government agency or government entity improve operations? So what we do here is we're providing different areas of functionality. So we say improve operational efficiency, automate common functions. Okay, it's a little high level. What I mean by that is that we have business applications that can do the functions that are needed, and some of back office stuff like purchasing, help desk, contract management, onboarding, things like that are the common business functions. And when they're done in the SharePoint environment, if you're on premises, or the Office 365, if you're in the cloud, our applications help improve operational efficiency and automate the common functions by making it easy to implement these systems. And I'll show you those in a few minutes once I get off sort of my high horse here talking about all this stuff. Just give me another few minutes, then we'll get into the application. And they'll also facilitate collaboration about breaking down cross-agency silos. So what really that means is that different departments or groups within an agency are better able to talk to each other by sharing data, using Teams, doing document management on SharePoint, because now you're using like a unified system, not all this disparate systems. You're using this unified system, and that facilitates collaboration intra or inter-department agencies, or intra or inter-agency communications, break down the, as they say, cross-agency silos. And replacing outdated systems is something we're big on. We really see people in government, and well, even commercial too, but in government and education, things like that, using systems that are like good 10, 15, sometimes 20 years old, like access forms or something like that, or InfoPath, which is a whole world in itself. I'll be talking about that tomorrow in Houston, well, virtually in Houston, as well as a little bit today about how we replace an InfoPath forms, or SharePoint workflows is another big one these days, and moving to upgrade to modern responsive solutions. So that's, you know, we're having a big impact on in government agencies as well as other places. And one place that we've been working a lot with is the Spokane Regional Health District up in Spokane, Washington, Eastern Washington. The city of Spokane and the county of Spokane combined their public health agencies into one district. So this covers both the county and the city, as something like over 400,000 people in that area, Eastern Washington. And if you look at their website, well, we're not going to do it right now, but there's many things they're doing. I mean, this health district has a lot of stuff going on, and they've adopted Crocan software as a large part of their facilitating, let's call it, digital transformation or upgrading to modern systems. So they have NitroStudio in place, and they're replacing InfoPath forms, because InfoPath is on its way out. It's going to be the first phase of expiration is next year, and then you know, not only is it expiring, it's also an outdated technology that puts you behind because you're not using the latest and greatest stuff. You're using stuff that was created 10, 15 years ago. I mean, the last time they developed anything in InfoPath was 2013. You know, that's quite some time ago. And they could not make it really mobile. Microsoft, they being Microsoft, could not make it mobile and cloud friendly. Browsers grew, you know, they expanded their functionality, modern browsers, and InfoPath just couldn't keep up. So people are really looking to move off InfoPath. And Spokane Regional Health District, our friends there, are working on it. And they've jumped right in the pool on NitroStudio and are doing quite well about doing a lot of work themselves. So once they get the studio in place, we help support them, but they do a lot of the development and the creation of the forms workflow themselves, which is great. They're also using it for replacing SharePoint 2010, 2013 workflows, and they're building forms, workflows, automating processes with NitroStudio. So NitroStudio is like a subscription. They're on Office 365 and the GCC. So it's a subscription. They can use it as many sites as they want and create an application for this, an application for that, a workflow for this, a workflow for that, and just, you know, whip up a form, put a few workflows on it, and bada bing, they've got something that will automating their processes, and they keep it kind of consistent across the whole organization because people get used to that kind of interface, and they can easily tweak it as needed by being able to go to NitroStudio. Our NitroStudio consistent of our forms designer, our workflow engine, our reporting, our formatting tools, our branding tools, our all the other features of NitroStudio I'll dig into in a little bit. And they're using that successfully to automate a lot of processes, but they also adopted some of our straight out of the box business applications, put a help desk in and a project manager. All our business applications run on top of our NitroStudio. So they are able to further modify them if needed, but right out of the box, they got a help desk, project manager, all ready to go. It's kind of sophisticated applications. They can take and run with those. They're adopting Microsoft Teams because they went to a much more remote workforce due to COVID, being a health district. And they're really looking at our bots in exploratory stages. Like a lot of people are, you know, like I said, sort of like peeking through the window, you know, about what's Crow Canyon got going on there, you know. They kind of, like a bakery, they smell the fresh baked cinnamon rolls or something. They're kind of, maybe I'm interested in that. I don't know. And, you know, so they're kind of peeking through the door and not sure if they want to come in and take a bite of them or not, but they will. They're attractive enough, and the economic case for bots is huge. So we're going to go in that direction with them. Okay, so let's talk about Nitro Studio. It's our no-code application creation platform. It has forms, workflows, reporting, portals, all the stuff listed here, modern or classic UI, chatbots if you're in the Office 365 world, database integrations is big. People ask about that a lot. How do you integrate with this and that database? And it cannot integrate with just about any database that is out there. You know, that's ODBC compliant, you know, SQL or Access or whatever. And it runs in Microsoft Office 365 Teams, also in the SharePoint on-premises world of 2013, 2016, and 2019. We also have our applications. These are the full-fledged, you know, ready-to-go out-of-the-box applications that we have. You might want to use one of these in your organization or several of them to quickly replace a process that's outdated or something that needs to be done, and you don't want to maybe build it from scratch, but you just want to get something in that's been well vetted and well in use somewhere and run it in your SharePoint or Office 365 environment. So basic concept to give you a kind of overview of this is that you got, if your SharePoint Office 365 is your base foundation, plenty of functionality there, a lot of good things, but Nitro Studio adds more. It has a whole layer of forms, actions, portals, reports, tab. I mean, I just list things here. The list could go on, and I could, you know, there's so much in Nitro Studio, and it's really something you have to dig in to appreciate the power and capabilities of it. We've been working on it for many years, and it's a very, very capable solution. And out of that, we build our applications. So if you got one of our applications running in a SharePoint site, you'd have IT help desk, but you know, the underlying foundation of Nitro Studio. So if you wanted to tweak a little bit of this, a little bit of that on it, change the workflow, add something to the form, or delete, modify, you can all do that using Nitro Studio to administer it. Of course, if you want to just use the help desk or service desk or one of these other ones right out of the box, you could. But then the other option with Nitro Studio is that you can build your own applications just using what we call Nitro Studio Raw, maybe, whatever, you know. And then you can build your own applications and replace InfoPath and any other legacy solutions. I believe I have a list of them on the next page. Yeah. So you can replace outdated, inefficient systems. This is something that we are working a lot in government with, is people are using SharePoint 2010 and Access Forms and Lotus Notes and a lot of InfoPath forms and SharePoint workflows. Not only that, people are still using email sometimes, spreadsheets, paper forms, you know, all these kind of processes that are really, you know, time to move to modern solutions. And an example of that, just to give a little anecdote right here, is working with the Orange County Transportation Authority recently, and signing up for the ACH. So we, you know, instead of getting checks, we can get the bank transfer through electronic transfer. And most of the time when I do that kind of thing, people send a form. I have fill it out. You know, our administration staff. I mean, that's what I mean. We fills it out. You sign it. You have to scan it, send it back, all that stuff. So it's a, you know, but with OCTA, Orange County people, I went to a website, signed in with a particular sign-in they gave me, filled out the form online, got an email, clicked the email link, put my signature in, bada bing, done. No printing anything, no paper being passed back and forth, all done just simply by logging into it was actually an Office 365 site, logging into the site and filling out the form, getting an email about the signature, signing it, and it was done. So that's the kind of thing where, you know, government has a lot of room to grow in that direction. I was glad to see Orange County doing that, and you know, a lot of organizations could learn, you know, take that approach also. But there are many places, I'm sure, if you look around your processes and what's going on, where you could improve them vastly by replacing the outdated, inefficient systems with modern solutions that use responsive design, mobile devices, cloud-based, and other services. Now, we are InfoPath replacement experts. I mean, sort of self-proclaimed in some sense, but we earned the title by all the work we've done in that field. We have an ebook right here. You go to InfoPath Replacement website, it's right here. You can download the ebook on how to do it, but we also have a whole way of doing. We also have the InfoPath Replacement Manager tool. We have the Nitro Studio to build them. I mean, if you're into InfoPath replacement, this is the right place to come, and we should talk, because this is something that we are doing a lot of, and really developed a methodology for doing it. We developed the tools, PowerShell scripts, and InfoPath Replacement, Project Manager, and all these other things. And I could go into a whole, and I will actually tomorrow, go into a whole spiel about this. And I won't take up the whole webinar with that, interesting as it may be. But if you are into InfoPath Replacement, let's talk and find out what you need and how NitroStudio could be the solution you need to get off those old InfoPath forms, which are retiring and expiring. And, well, you know, not literally expiring, but they're no longer going to be supported and no longer going to be developed. So, okay. Oh, we're going into bots now? Okay. Well, what I want to do is go in to show you some of what's going on in our applications. But I'm going to do a quick thing about bots right here. Here you go, bots. This is a funny one, but what this means is that, you know, we always think of bots as robots, but bots are not that. Bots are conversational interfaces. So I want to point out that what we have going on in our Office 365 world, leading edge stuff of creating these bots that are able to answer and interact with the user in a way that makes it so that it is quick, easy, available on a phone, available here. There isn't like mucking around with a bunch of back-end complexity. It's just you ask a question in natural language and you get some kind of answer, or the bot attempts to answer it, and then it leads you to a course of action that is whether to create a ticket or go to this website or whatever to give you answers. And these bots run 24/7, you know, all the time. And so, you know, middle of the night on Saturday, somebody has a question about holidays or leave request or needs a support question, the bot is there to answer it. That's kind of the promise of the bots, and we're helping to realize that. I know it's not perfect yet, but we're working in that direction to move that. And so I'll show you some of that before we get going. And this is a cloud-based service, our bots, be on the web, in Teams or Facebook. So that's another story, and there'll be a webinar in 2 weeks where I go into this in depth, and we'll talk more about it then. Here it is, November 12th. You can register at crocane.com/webinars, find out more about that, and have a lot of fun with that webinar. But right now, I'm going to get off of the PowerPoint trip and go into the actual application, so you can see what's going on and what we can offer. Now, I don't have any questions, it seems like, right now. So let's go in to look at what the applications are. Let's see, here's one right here. I'm gonna go into get out of this and go to that. Get out of this and go to bring this browser over. Here we go, expand it. Okay, I'm gonna start with our applications. One of our applications, here's a contract management application that we have running in SharePoint. This is actually Office 365, and it shows the kind of things we can do with our applications, with the interfaces that we have going on here. So this is managing contracts. Someone wants to manage contracts. You might have them expiring. You know, you don't want to just renew it blindly. You want to get an approval process. You want to know what's coming. You want to know what the cost is going to be. This is one example of the kind of application that we can build using our NitroStudio as the back-end underlying power of it, along with the SharePoint and Office 365 capabilities. So now, any one of the applications that we have, it could be a whole demo in itself. And if you are interested, hey, Scott, I want to do I'm interested in a purchasing program. I'm interested in a contract management. I'm interested in your service desk. Don't hesitate, you know, give sales at crocane.com, send them an email, give us a call. Be some numbers at the end of the webinar, and we'll set up a one-on-one. It's no obligation. It's just like, hey, you want to see what's out there, right? I mean, obviously, and what we've done, and we're glad to show it to you. So, you know, our job here is to help you and your organization run more efficiently, better, and for us to be on the leading edge of this stuff. You know, you guys, you know, it's what we do all day and night. You know, so we know it quite well, literally day and night. So, you know, but you have other things you need to do to service your citizens or your customers, or take care of different things going on in your agency. Maybe you have to meet some compliance or regulatory reasons, or you have to, you know, it's just a lot going on. And we deal with the stuff of how to make the so-called digital transformation, operational efficiency actually happen in the real world. And that's our job, is where rubber meets the road. You know, the crow. I don't know if the crow meets anything, but the crow is there. See, here's the crow on our website. See, he's working hard. He's gonna do something. Go crow. Go crow. We just changed that the other day. It's kind of fun. All right, so contract management. You know, you might have a list of, you know, these are tiles and dials going on. reports here. You want to see all the contracts coming up. I mean, you can arrange this in different ways with the different list views and capabilities and ways we want to put it together. This is our list view component right here. You can have different ones going here. You can have, alternating rows. You can print them. I mean, so much you can do with this as far as helping you to keep organized and on top of it. You might want to just know which ones are upcoming in the next, expiring 60 days, expiring in 90 days, which ones are expired. Maybe you want to see all items. Maybe you want to see ones where you're the primary person, the responsible entity is you, Pawan or something, only wants to see his that are coming up. So many, many ways you can slice and dice this data. And the contracts themselves, this is what I call a meta information. The contract itself can be sitting, here's the form. This is a Nitro form. And you have one way of doing a Nitro form. And so you have information about it, metadata about the contract, some financial information, and then you have the actual contract link right here. Or it also can be an internal into your SharePoint document library, or it could be external link that goes out to either cross-site, cross-department, cross-agency, or to an external system, and then is able to reference that and keep track of the doc. So either way you want to do it. You can also set up milestones on the contract, email history, note. So this is like just an example of kind of sophistication that can be built into a SharePoint application using the tools that we provide. And behind all this is a whole set of workflows that are happening. We have workflows that run simply by clicking what we call custom action buttons on the form itself, and also workflows that run automatically when certain events happen on the ticket. It's submitted, or it's changed, or its expiration date's coming up due, or something like that. It's going to send out emails or take a variety of actions that move the business process along. So let's look at it. We also have the same kind of similar idea with our purchase request system. So if someone makes a request, it needs to be approved. It goes to the manager gets an approval notice. They can make, he or she can make a decision on that. And then if it is approved, then the process can go along to actually create a purchase order, or it could be go over to notify finance or AP, would be AP area, one of those, accounts receivable, accounts payable. One of those, it'll go over there and tell them that create a new PO is needed. It can interface with financial systems. So this is where a person can make an order, get it approved by a manager, or several levels too. If it needs to be over, maybe it's over a certain amount, it needs to be approved by several levels of management. And then it can come, and once it's approved and all that's recorded, it can go over to the purchase order people, and then they can create a purchase order and send it out, and then track the order coming in or interface with the financial system. And then people who submitted the order can go back and look at their orders that they put in and what the status is. So that's another example of like a purchasing program and that kind of thing we can do with this. Let me go to a more generic request management system right here. Here's a request of any type. The person's putting in a request, let's say a new request. And again, a Nitro form. Now we can make these forms look any way you want. We've done a variety of forms. These are pretty standard, straight up forms. We do have a number of forms. Let me bring where's the crow over. And under Crow, you can see our NitroStudio form showcase, and you'll see that there are a large number of forms, different styles of forms that can be created with NitroStudio right here to meet your particular needs. There, you can do whatever form you need on that to do that if you like. So then again, the request, and it gets logged into the system, and whoever is supposed to work on it gets notified, and blah blah blah. And that's all pretty standard. But there's like another aspect to this too, is this employee portal that people can come in and just create tickets through the portal. I think this one is the one related to that. Let me open that in a new link. I think I was in a different portal there. No, that's the right one. Okay. So there is a portal interface, a modern UI portal, but they can come in here, click this, and open up requests this way and see their request. So it's kind of like a way to hide the back end from the end user so that they can see just a simple interface to work on, to create a new request, view their existing requests, create specific requests, search requests, whatever they need to do, get some notices. And that's a way of given them an interface that they can use. Also, they can search the knowledge base to find the information and response they might need on it. Now, all this stuff that I'm showing you is underlaid, I guess to say, is by our Nitro Studio. A Nitro Studio right here for that request management system I was just looking at right here. Let's go look at request management right here. We open up a new one. We have what it's just looking here, a new request. And the same for the purchasing, same for the contract, same for the service desk. There's a form right here, right? So if we go to Nitro Apps, and this Nitro Studio is available in that site called Request Management. And this is where I start to have a lot of fun with this, because you can go there to the request list, open up the forms designer, and now you can see some of the power of Nitro Studio here, his ability to modify this. We're going to go to the edit the portal form, the request form, and then you can start to modify this in many, many, many different ways to be the look you want. You could have a same form for new edit and display. You can have separate forms. This is a whole world in itself, creating the forms designer and how you want to create it. There's so much functionality in this forms designer. It's I think one of the top ones that are out there in terms of the range of functionality. You can make how you want the form to look, what cascaded lookups, dynamic forms, mobile design. You can even preview it here. New form, okay. So we go in here and we're going to say what it looks like on different systems, and then you can design it accordingly. There's a whole range of, there's repeating rows, responsive design, there's validations and rules, there's different ways of laying it out, there's external database connections, custom actions. I mean, there's just custom JavaScript, form events. I mean, it's a great tool. You can do so much with it. It's like amazing. So that's the the forms designer, and then also we have all these other functions going on in our Nitro Studio. Now, the way it works, if you get one of our ready to go applications out of the box, you might just come in and fuss around a little bit here and there with the Nitro Studio according to what you want to do. Maybe you want to tweak the form a little bit, or add a workflow, or modify a workflow, whatever. You can add a custom action, work on how the email's handled, different things like that, how the lists are formatted, what the views look like. You can play around and get some really customized for your particular needs quite easily. You can create printouts that look really good, like print out an invoice or print out a purchase order based on a Word template. I mean, so much you can do with it. But if you want to come in and use Nitro Studio, like I said, kind of raw or from the scratch, then you could start just come in and build a form, put a workflow on it, and imitate. Let's say imitate's the wrong word. It's like expand upon and improve and make much better whatever legacy system you have in place. You could start with the idea of what an.
Hi folks, this is James here. Seems like we're having a little bit of technical difficulties with the audio. I'm trying to get hold of Scott now to see if we can get him back on audio. So hang tight. Yeah, it seems like we're having a little bit of difficulty with the audio, so I apologize for that, folks. With that, I'm not sure what happened on that front, but I think we were talking about just some of the things that Procurement offers. We were talking about the bots. We're talking about some of the out-of-the-box tools that we have in Nitro Studio. So I just wanted to follow up and kind of plug on that a little bit, because that is one of the best things about the tool, best things about what we offer, not only being in.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, he's back. All right, good. Yes.
Yeah, sorry everyone. But I was saying, what point did we lose, James? You hear me talking about the certified small business, all the government agencies we're part of?
No, I think it was back. You were talking about forms. You started showing a form, and it was before that we couldn't hear you.
Oh, okay.
So it was a little while ago.
Well, sorry everyone, but let's get back. I was just showing you the different agencies we work with, but let's go back to the form here. So I was saying that in Nitro Studio, you can modify this form how you want to make it operate the way that you want to, and the form is just part of it. There's also the workflow manager, the custom actions, and all the other features that's in our Nitro Studio that will provide the functionality to make it the operation, to make the program work the way you want. So I think the important thing is to let us know what's needed there. Are you at the beginning stages of looking at this, just kind of Are you looking at more looking to an actual program you have in mind that's like, kind of saying, hey, we need to update that thing. We need to get off that system and onto that. There's some kind of a imperative or whatever from the upper management that maybe there is renewals coming that's very costly and you want to get off it, or there's just a push to go to the Office 365 or SharePoint environment more. I don't know if that's coming up. So that's what that's just the underlying power of the Nitro Studio. Now, one thing I wanted to do before I go here is get to see if there's any questions. Hey, James, by the way, are there questions while we're before I switch over to showing some stuff on the bots?
There was a question about adding procurement rules to the purchasing function. I think you were showing the purchasing tool.
Yes.
So it's just a question about the, I figured we touch on the approval process briefly, just to kind of show what that's all about. And this is just to elaborate a little bit, this is a process that is pretty common to a lot of our applications and easily configurable with Nitro tools.
Okay, good. Yeah, so there's an approval process when someone creates a new purchase order. I was going to show that with our bots. I think that might be kind of interesting to see. With the not everyone on the webinar is on Office 365, but it still would be good to show some of that. Well, we could show it what it works like right here when, say, you have a new purchase request, right? And you want to what procurement rules would be like, if this is for X, do that, and we send it here for approval. If it's for, it could be by what item you're buying, what the price is, maybe where you're located, or what department you're in, or things like that, right? Is that what we mean by procurement rules, James, you think?
Yes, yeah.
All right. So any of that process. Yeah, maybe what I'll do is, instead of showing that, I'll go back to the studio and talk about our workflow manager, which sets up all these different rules and the things you can do when a ticket is created or modified, or just based on certain timers. See, there's all many different kind of functionalities you can do here in our workflow designer. In our workflow designer, you can just do a test one, just for, like a demo one, test it, whatever, for demo. We'll select the list, which would be request, I believe, is the list right here. And so using this list, you can see our workflow manager says when an item is created, do something. Well, what do you do? Well, you have all these list of actions. You can do one or more or multiple ones of these in order to move the process along. This is where we get really the whole business of the business process automation takes place. You can add a list item, update a list item. So in other words, if you submitted a ticket or request of some kind, it can add other subtasks or create subtasks for people. A lot of times when a project's created, it'll create a series of subtasks. When a request comes in, maybe you have to grant someone rights to SQL database. It will send out a task to the SQL administrator and other people. I mean, there's just different things you can do to add list items. You can also update the existing one to say, for this kind of request, set the due date to this. For that kind of request, assign it to this person. You can send an email. That's a very common one, where you decide we're going to send a notification. It's really like send notification, or we're starting to, we can send notifications by email. We can also send email to a Teams channel, or to some, through a bot. We can send it there and get someone noticed there to take action. And all these can happen in multiple, one after another in sequence. It isn't like there's one action per workflow. There's multiple actions that can go on. And there's a number of other things that get more sophisticated, such as invoke a web service, invoke an Azure function, and interact with Microsoft Teams. If you're in the Office 365 world, you can post an adaptive card or send an email. So all these actions can take place, but they're also based on certain conditions. So you might say, okay, if the category of category of the is equal to hardware, whatever, then run these actions. If the currency or the amount, I don't think we have an amount on this particular request, but if the amount was above so-and-so, then do this. If the department is so-and-so, then do that. So we say, like, if the requester's department or location or office is somewhere outside, then do that, then do a different action. So you can also set it up so that is the condition for the whole workflow, but you also can do sub workflows where you say, okay, send an email to this person, send when department is sales, something like that. So then you can say, choose what template you wanna create your own mail template, what you want to say, but it would go to a different person. But important thing here is this would run when the requested department is equal to sales. It would only run then, So see, that's how you do these procurement rules or whatever kind of rules you want to put on. This kind of thing where you either set the condition for the whole set of workflow actions or each particular action. So you could have a send mail for when department sales, when the department is IT, when the department is engineering, or the user's location is US or user location is Taiwan or something like that, or when the currency exceeds $10,000, do this. So there's many, many different things you can do to set up these conditions. This is where it gets real interesting for us, is like, how do you want it to work? How should it work? And what people ask us, can it do this? Can it do that? Can it do this and that? Those are very valid questions, because when you first look at this list of possibilities, it becomes like, what can it be done? How can it be done? Well, then you just look at it here and say, well, maybe we have to invoke a workflow. We have to communicate with teams. We have to invoke a web service. Most of the time, it's just sending emails, updating list items, adding list items. A lot of it's more in that realm of functionality with it. And this will go off. The trigger, as I call it, there's the trigger, would be when items created, it's modified, when a certain time is reached based on, say, due date or assign date in the ticket, or if it's a contract, could be expiration date, 60 days before, send out this email, repeat it every so many times. It could also be just scheduled every July 1st or every first of the Monday of the month or something, do that. Or you can do a schedule report where you say, send a report to management not every hour, that'd probably be a bit overwhelming, wouldn't it? But maybe every month or every week you want to send a report. And so that makes a very powerful tool here, this workflow manager, to set up these different kind of rules. I kind of riffing off that one question, but it is an important subject to talk about, is the workflow element, not just the forms element. But going back to the form here, now quest form, what you can do is on this form itself, you can add special actions also on this, either put it there or in the middle of the form, wherever you want to put it. And it could be a submit action, script action, but this will correspond to different actions you've created in your custom actions over here. So you create a custom action in our NitroStudio custom action tool, and you can do it either from that form itself or from this tool here. But what you have is custom actions. Custom actions means user initiated. They show up as a button on the form or in the list ribbon or on the item itself. And this is where a lot of power comes in. So you might say, okay, resolve this ticket. It was resolve the ticket do. It comes in and it does whatever you told it to do, which is the trigger is when the user pushes the button. But even like the workflows, it has conditions. When the request status is not equal to resolved, it's not closed, then we're going to update the list item and mark it resolved, and update the list item is going to be set certain columns to certain values and stuff like that. So it just sets it to resolve or whatever. So, just by simply pressing a button. In fact, what I'm finding, James, on this is that custom actions are an incredibly useful way to easily automate just about many, many functions. It's sort of like, almost like, I wouldn't say like a macro per se, but it's along that same idea, right? You use those a lot.
Yeah, I think even more than that. I mean, the fact that you can tie it into other custom actions and workflows means you could cascade functionality, and from one click of a button, you can fire off a whole bunch of different things that happen. It's really one of the most powerful tools I think we have in Nitro Studio.
You just reminded me too that we have these 2 workshops coming up on custom actions. We keep our users informed. We have a number of, James runs these workshops, and we've been doing a number of them. And look, the 18th, like in the coming up next month, and then there's part 1, part 2. So I guess you're really up on these, getting ready for this, right, James?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, and we have all these other on-demand webinars. So, we're here to help support Nitro Studio. I mean, one thing people say is our support is really amazing and wonderful, because we're not like this huge organization that treats every customer like, click 1 for this, click 2 for that, click 3 for this, click 4 for that, wait on hold for like 20 minutes. Yeah, it's just, we're not a huge corporation where you just become a number. We used to meet a lot of our customers at those conferences, and that was a lot of fun too, just get to know people. I mean, this is the real world. Like I said, Microsoft, love them for whatever they do, with their digital transformation, the strategies, and the high level, blah, blah, blah. And it's all very important. It's got to be like that. But Crow Canyon's where, it's a company where we make it happen. We make it actually come into fruition in reality, working closely with our customers to do that. It's one of our things. And one thing we're working on, in fact, I'll get into this because it's kind of fun, is if you're in Teams, how are we doing? Great. You're doing great, Microsoft. They have to be, I don't know, it must be self-confidence thing where Microsoft has to be reassured they're doing well. I don't know what's wrong with them. Anyway, so SelfService Bot. And by the way, we are a preferred partner, remember, so Microsoft, and we know a lot of the people there, so we kind of have fun with them. It's just, we used to go to Seattle and Redmond a lot when those days we used to travel. I haven't been on a plane since March. It's crazy. Used to go like twice a month, all kinds of places. Anyway, so SelfService Bot. Yeah, this is something we're working on a lot. In fact, we're going to have that webinar in 2 weeks, and we're doing a lot of work on this. So we have a bot here, and it says, hello, bot. How are you today? You doing well? I don't know. It's going to come back. So it's usually when you first start, it takes a minute or two to wake up. Come on, stop sleeping, wake up. And it's going to come back and give me some options here to do. Hello, bot. What can you, okay. So I want to select an application. You want to select an application because you can set the bot up to run in multiple applications. So, the user just comes in, they could be on a mobile phone or in, Teams runs in mobile, runs in web, it runs in desktop. This is in a web app right here. And okay, HR. I have something to do with HR. Now you can set up the bot just to go directly to HR and only have an HR system. So you can set up directly for IT. It says, I want a vacation, So it's going to say, oh, you want a vacation? Okay, fill out this leave request form. Here it goes. So it gives you the leave request form to fill out. So you go fill it out. And this is a nice looking portal right here, one of our portals. It takes you to our nice looking portal here. In fact, that's where the portal I was going to show is. Okay, well, I'll keep going through with this. The title is Need Time Off During the Holidays, all right? And it's a leave request. It's all set up already normal. Leave type, I don't know, it could be whatever you want in your list. You can make up the list. We'll call it earn leave. And the list manager is James. And it's going to start, let's say, December 21st. He's going to take 2 weeks off until, I don't know, January 1st, I guess you could say, right? So he's got those 2 weeks, basically. Oh, wait a minute. You got to put the start date and end date in a different box. So it starts 21st and end on the 1st, right, of January. There we go. Like those 2 weeks. Description. Well, do you really need a description? It's Christmas, right? Happy holidays. Let's put in happy holidays, right? And then the requester is Pavan because that's who I'm logged in as. PK Pavan, and it's got all my information automatically filled in from the autofill, and it's ready to go. So here I am submitting a request. I started in the bot. It's going over here, back to the bot, and it's going to go here and say, let's look at the request, my open request right here, and see what he did. So he can come back later, look at his open requests, and see that there are a number of open requests in HR. Need time off during the holidays. Just put that in, number 68, right? Then I could open it up and take a look at it and see what the details here are of that. So Pavan asking for the vacation time could be completely in the bot. He doesn't have to ever go to SharePoint. The stuff is happening in the back end, SharePoint. If you needed to go there as administrator or something like that, you could. And then over here on the other side, James, as the manager, got a notice in Teams that he has a request from Pavan, leave request approval, happy holidays, number 68, and he can decide whether to approve it or not. Just he's sitting there in Teams. He gets this notice wherever he is, carrying around his cell phone or something, and he says he wants to approve it. So he could put in a comment if he wants. Happy holidays, happy holidays. You don't have to sing, but you could put it in if you wanted. Happy holidays, happy holidays. It's almost that time of year, isn't it crazy? Happy holidays, So here it goes. So it's sent a card, leave request approved, and our friend Pavan here just got a notice that he just was approved. All that happened in real time. I just made this up, and here it is right here. And our friend Pavan can go here and look at his open requests again if he wants. And same idea with IT. It could be like an IT ticket going back and forth in the same vein, right? So I just noticed we're on 12. I guess we got a little bit delayed by that little audio blip, but we're okay. So what does it say here on sign, close ticket, whatever? So he got the notice back that his time was it was approved right here in the Nitro bot. He got here approved. Your leave request is approved, earned leave request approved by James, and he's good to go for the holidays. See, all that happened without any interaction with SharePoint per se. It was all done in Teams. Now, he could have gone to our portal right here. This is the cool looking portal I wanted to show you earlier. And also, if you're back here on the backend SharePoint, you'll see the same thing. If I refresh this screen, it should say time off during holidays at the top one here. Need time off during holidays. So here it is in SharePoint using the Nitro form. Here it is in our employee portal, cool looking portal right here. We could have it showing up right here for Pavan, only showing Pavan's request. And you also can see it in the Nitro bot here, and you can just go open it up and look at it. So that's I wanted to show you a little bit about bots. We'll go into more on that in 2 weeks. Anybody's interested in what we're doing and how we can help you with government? I know I covered a lot in this webinar, probably overwhelming amount, but it is a huge amount of stuff we're doing for a lot of different organizations around the world, all different governments in different countries, a lot in the US, but also overseas. And we'd be very glad to help you with whatever you need to be do. And the most important thing is to talk to us and start the conversation and see where we can go. I know it doesn't happen overnight. It's something that takes some amount of organizational movement to make it happen. But you have to start somewhere, and we're glad to help you, whether it's to put a business application in place, purchasing contract, service desk, HR, any of those things we just showed, or to put our NitroStudio in place and get you off of these legacy systems. Let's talk. And here's some information to get in touch with us. James, I don't think there's any other questions, so I think we're good.
Yeah.
And thanks for your help, James. And again, I apologize for that audio blip. I don't know what happened there. I don't know. Anyway, but here we're good to go. Go see our website. A lot of information there. Give us a call or email us on sales. Hope you have a good day, and we hope to hear from you. And I guess it's not too early to say happy holidays. It is a little early, isn't it? Oh, wait,
it's the holiday season.
How about happy Halloween? We'll start with that, right? Yeah, we'll start with that one. Okay, take care. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.